How's it going, everybody? I hope you're doing well. I'm Jack McAdoo. I want to talk about music and sound today. If you don't know my history, I started out young in life in Hawaii as a musician and rose up into Los Angeles, worked with a lot of musicians that you've heard of, and focused my early life on music and sound as an engineer, as a producer, as a performer. And as I've gone on my spiritual journey, there's a modality which is sound healing and using bowls and different instruments like that. And I've been attracted to it. And one of my friends is Devani Paige, and she is a sound healer in Sedona. And I want to welcome her to the show today so that we can talk about sound healing, the modality of of the art, and everything else that it entails. So welcome, Devani. How are you?
I'm well, Jack. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm gonna jump right into this, because music excites me. Anything to do with sound excites me. Frequency excites me. All of it does. But I want to know about you a little bit first. Tell me about yourself and what got you started into this modality.
Sure. All right. Well, first off, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. And
Absolutely.
I would say it started like really young because I grew up in a very musical family.
Mhm.
I was the youngest of three kids. My mom is a twin, and her sister and their older sister, I have memories of them always sitting around the piano, singing
Wow.
and playing music. And all of us children were assigned like an instrument that we had to play. I had played the piano. I think my brother played the trumpet. My sister played the clarinet. My grandpa actually wanted me to play the trombone, and I like cut him off there. I couldn't go there, but they were always into music. Also, a very religious Catholic background. So it was always like gospel hymns and church songs. So I kind of rebelled. And like I said, I had like the influence and the foundation to it, but I also was kind of turned off by what the type of music that was in my home. So
Mhm.
it took a while for me once I grew up and left home. I actually met my first long term partner, my ex husband now, that was a singer songwriter. So he kind of pulled me back into the realm of appreciating music. And we
Right.
went on to be singer songwriters together, performing. This was in the Midwest. We were in Minnesota, northern Minnesota, and that whole area, playing along the boardwalks of Lake Superior, playing in cafes and resorts. And he got me to pick up a guitar, which the bonus of that was I love to sing. So I had like
Right.
something accompany me with my voice.
Right.
But over time, I didn't really resonate with the guitar, and I ended up getting gifted a native flute. And that's when the light bulb went on and the joy came back because the native flute just really resonates with me.
Mhm. Mhm.
From there, being in Sedona as well, by the time I moved here, I was getting into yoga. That's why I came out to Sedona. I got sucked and pulled in and stayed here, and it brought me full circle again with music and sound.
Mhm.
When I was in my yoga training, I realized how much of everything reality is sound. Everything's vibration, right? Everything is energy. We kind of get caught up in our five senses as we move through our day and we think everything is tangible, but
Mhm.
actually everything is vibration and frequency vibrating. So it brought me into singing bowls, drumming, toning, chanting, my voice again. And again, my
Mhm.
flutes are my favorite instrument.
Are you one of those that, like me, I guess, you walk around and you just hear different things throughout the day? You hear
Yeah.
something that's like, I could actually work with that. You know what
Yes.
I mean? A little ding or a bird or, a stream, anything. I use it, it resonates with me. Does it same for you?
Yes, and I remind clients when we're in sessions to for a sound bath, a sound healing, to just be in nature and just connect with primordial sounds. The if you're at the
Absolutely.
ocean and you hear the waves, if you're in the forest and you hear the wind in the trees, all these primordial sounds of nature have that same
Mhm.
effect that singing bowls and didgeridoos and shakers and flutes and all
Yes.
this can do.
Yes.
Mhm.
What is sound healing to you? I know we're talking about sound, but what is it specifically for you and to you? The modality of it, the modality of sound healing. To you, is it an expression? Is it something that just resonates with inside of you that you felt that you had to share with anyone? Is it the healing aspects? And we'll get into more of that later. But what is sound healing in itself and its modality to you?
I feel like it's really an expression, I would say, when you said that
Mm,
word, that resonated a lot because along with my yoga training, which I just full on about 16 years ago became like yogic lifestyle as soon as I took my training. I love everything about it. And it packages really well, like I said, with sound and
right,
sound healing. So I would say the expression, my soul, just like we're creative beings and we have to move energy. This is the way
right.
through yoga and sound healing is the way my most favorite modalities to move energy and just for myself, but then also for the gift of just giving to others,
Mhm.
which we can yeah get into about why it's so beneficial.
Absolutely. When you're okay, so when you're in your practice of sound healing, when you're there by yourself or with clients, do you work with the frequencies that you feel? Say you do a meditation or whatever you do to prep yourself for the modality and helping yourself or others. Do you meditate and absorb the frequency around you, and then that leads you or guides you into the bowls, into the flute? Is it a set pattern? I mean, is it something that when you begin playing a bowl or something, it begins to resonate with you internally and then you express it that way? Is that how you work with frequency?
I tune in. I kind of have a signature sound healing that I love to
Mm,
offer. It's called Seven Flutes of the Seven Chakras. So I have seven native flutes that are tuned. If anyone's not aware, the chakra system is an Eastern yogic philosophy that we have seven major chakras running along the front of our spine, and they're all associated with the tone, which is basically the music
okay.
scale. So the root chakra, the first chakra down at the base of our tailbone, is the key of C, and it goes all the way up the scale to B at the crown. Um, so I have this kind of planned out chakra balancing session with my clients, but then from there I just kind of get on my own way and follow intuitively of what comes out for each of those chakras as I'm moving through the
Mhm.
session with my flutes and my bowls and my voice. It's all unique each time, just
I
kind of getting out of my own way, intuitively expressing in that moment.
I never knew that the root chakra was in the key of C.
Yeah.
I never knew that. Honestly, it's like, wow, so each one has their own resonance, I guess, their own frequency and their own key.
Yes, yes,
That
and my
is
bowls are
crazy,
actually tuned to that as well, so that when I move through the chakras, it's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, like I said, all the way up
right?
to major 7. Mhm.
So, does it work the same way for frequency? Does a particular chakra have like 4/32 or anything like that, or is it just basically in a key?
That's a whole nother subject that me and my partner were just watching a show on the other day about bringing music back to 432 hertz instead of 440.
Right.
I
Yes.
honestly will admit that I've been a mainstream musician for years with my ex-husband and all
Mhm.
like we always played in 440 and my bowls are
Right.
440 and so I got my flutes in 440, but there could be a shift for me in the future because I recently had this aha of the importance of the hertz, the frequency that we're at.
Right. Right.
I said that's a whole big topic in itself, but I believe there's validity that way back before it was 440, it was 432 for a reason. Had
Absolutely.
to do with like the natural resonance of Earth and space, and
Right.
it's just more natural, and we receive it better.
Right.
Um, but I believe playing even in 440, as long as your intention is pure, like my
Mhm.
intention is to help people and to be of service in all the ways that we'll talk about. So whether you're in the 440 hertz or the 432, I think intention is a huge part of it as well. And what style of music are you playing in that frequency?
Right.
You know?
When, I wrote if I was using frequency as a base, and I really never did a whole lot of 440, it was mostly 4/32 and what is it, 540, 540? But if I was in 432, I could actually play in the key of C to match that frequency.
Yeah.
And I know on YouTube, there's a lot of people that use frequency, no one's using a true tone. It's usually some kind of, vibe music over a frequency. They're
Hmm.
really not playing a pure tone,
Right.
which is interesting. Um, so when you're in a session with someone using frequency and aligning chakras and that, do you begin to pick up from them the energy, the frequencies that they're beginning to give off because of the sound? And do you adjust to that? And do you switch to more of a free flow, something that's resonating with you and them? Do you do that as well once you've done the alignment? You get
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a riff.
I definitely just kind of get out of my own way. Like I said,
Mm,
it's kind of like a different zone that we're in when we're in a session, and it's intuitive and it's unique each time. I have clients that come back repetitively for chakra balancing, and they always share that different each session brings them a different experience. And like, for example, some flutes some days will feel really heart opening and peaceful, and
right.
then other times they might feel agitated by a certain tone, by a
Mm,
certain flute or bowl, because they're moving energy. What's coming up is on its way out. So
right.
sometimes, hopefully, mostly it's pleasant, but sometimes there's like a discord or a rub that happens too. And that's just all part
Yeah.
of the process. It's all part of moving energy and releasing.
So when you're moving energy in that way and they're releasing and say it's something toxic within them and it resonates itself or shows itself as a frequency, I know you pick up on that. So do you continue with that frequency to work on it to make them feel uncomfortable and maybe dive deeper that way, or you just move on to something else and see what happens? I'm just wondering because if you're working on something and the frequency is resonating, but bringing something out of them, maybe a trauma, something that they need work on, do you keep honing in on the frequency or do
I
you just
I
move
do
away from it?
typically I do, because that's the whole point, to just kind of feel it and move
Mhm.
it. And then by the end, usually, it's resolved. That energy percolated and came out. I've had so many amazing feedbacks of everything from colors to
Wow.
seeing their past grandmother and receiving a message, seeing their elders,
Wow.
seeing one person asked me if along each chakra, instead of seeing the color, was it okay or normal that they saw their spirit animals? And I said, everything's possible, everything's okay and
Yeah.
valid. So it's unique to every person. And some of
Mhm.
us are visual, some of us are not. It's all different and it's all perfect. But I would say the consistency of just coming back to it, like any type of meditation, is
Mhm.
beneficial too. I mean, having a sound healing session once is great, but coming back to it again and again can go deeper, just like you
Mm.
don't typically usually just go to a massage therapist
Sure.
once and then feel good for the rest of your life. You want to go back and get another massage. So sound healing is kind of like that. It's a modality that has a wonderful way to help energy move and to help us grow and expand and release, but we want to revisit it. We want to keep coming back to it if you choose to have it as part of your self-care and a routine that can help you in ways physically and emotionally.
Absolutely. I know that you've probably seen all kinds of things, traumas, different reasons why people are coming to you. And it's not all, I know it's not all necessarily trauma. It's just some people just like to feel a frequency and get realigned with it. But there's a lot of vets out there. And I know that you're in Sedona. Do you receive people that way, that it's not just vets, it could be anything, it could be a really bad relationship or something like PTSD?
Hmm.
Do you find those people that are suffering from that coming to you, that are adding that, and is it beneficial to them? Does it help? I would think yes.
Hmm.
Anything with sound seems to just resonate with people, but do you see a lot of people with PTSD coming to you, or is it just more
Not that
realignment?
they're announcing it. I'm here in Sedona and I work at a lot of retreat centers, healing centers, personal clients.
Mhm.
In the past, I worked a lot at resorts. So
Sure.
people are here to come to Sedona to tap into their intuitive self, to find out what this is all about in this town that's all woo woo and spiritual. So sometimes they don't really announce any trauma when we begin the
Mm,
session, and that's not maybe their focus point, but then through the session, by the end they realized they had some gunk that came up, issues in their
I
tissue
see.
that stirred up and came out, and they might have a great release with a cry or a laugh or an aha moment. But I would say the top two benefits of sound healing is to alleviate pain. If you have
Mm,
any kind of chronic pain issues, it
mm,
can help with raising endorphins and helping us feel better. So it's a pain reducer, like a natural pain reliever.
right.
And even if you're not feeling specific pain in any way, we almost all of us have stress and tension and some type of anxiety
Mhm,
moving through our day. I remember a practitioner once a long time ago shared with me that even when we go to the gas station to fill up
mm,
our gas tank, when our noses inhale the aroma of the gas, we go into fight and flight mode. And so if you use just that example with so many things throughout our day that put us chronically into our fight and flight. So it also, sound healing can reduce all that stress and tension. It can take you out of your sympathetic and put you into parasympathetic nervous system. So
Mhm.
rest and digest. That's what we want to do. We want to stop that chronic fight and flight and just calm down and center and slow down.
Absolutely. Is there any combo, so to speak, that you like to work with? I again, I know that it's your practice and you're working, one on one or within a group, but do you find it sometimes when, say, you're implementing yoga or meditation? Well, I know with meditation, there's a lot of sound. There's a lot of, I've been, in group meditations where they're using bowls and flutes and things like that. Do you think that's a better combo, or is that something someone should work into? And do you have a favorite? Say there's yoga going on and you're in a room full of goddesses or kings or whatever, and you're working your bowls and then yoga's happening. Is that a good combo? Is that a favorite combo?
It's beautiful. Yeah, it's great you mentioned that because my favorite is to I mean, I'm totally fine doing just yoga or just sound healing. I love them individually, but I feel like the ultimate is when a client or a group of people that I'm servicing is into doing some stretching and breathing yoga. And specifically, I am mostly with women doing goddess yoga, which is a unique kind of yoga for women, for us to move our hearts and our hips in a way that
Mhm.
is designed for our bodies. It's belly dance inspired,
Mm,
keeping us connected to our feminine. But regardless, if we do goddess yoga or hatha yoga, which is designed actually in a masculine sense, for all genders, and I would say that I like people to feel comfortable in their bodies, get really present. So the breath and some stretching or a full practice of yoga is really awesome. And then to lie down and receive and be still. And actually yoga was designed for that too, to
mm,
get you to get present and ready to meditate.
mm.
So if you move the body and the breath first, and then you lie down for the sound healing, you can most often receive it better and be more open and ready for it.
Okay. My I think my first sound healing, it wasn't really a sound healing. My first sound experience with bowls and everything was in Sedona. It was with a friend of mine. She was actually on the show, and she had this big gong.
Mm,
And I remember she hit that thing, and it just, I think every cell in my body felt that.
yeah.
And then, yeah, and then I got into a meditation. It just opened me up. And then she would play, different bowls and things like that, really in no particular order. It was almost just like tuning into a frequency.
Mhm.
Do you find that with people for the first time and they come in and maybe you hit a gong or you hit a flute? Do you sense where they need to go in the beginning before you do an alignment, if that's what they're there for? Um, do you see it resonating with them immediately? Does that make sense? Someone coming to you for the first time and they're not there just for an alignment, unless that's what you do first. Do you know what frequency will hit them? Does this make sense?
I I just really actually see every person as whole, right?
Mm,
I try
okay.
to hold space as a practitioner to not
I like
nitpick what's going wrong with them. They know what they're uncomfortable with or what they're dealing with,
I
whether
like that.
they
Yeah.
consciously articulate it or just feel it. But I don't try to press them into telling me what's wrong or what needs fixing. I more just hold space and
Mm,
see them as whole and allow the energy to do the work, allow the vibration, the sound frequencies to help move whatever needs to be moved. And again, I have lots of people that at the end is usually when I get the feedback after the whole
mm,
sound bath is the tears come maybe through the experience or after the experience. I also love to do a lot of ritual in the beginning. I like to tune people in, even if we're not going to do yoga, if it's just booked as a sound healing, I
mhm,
still connect with our breath and anoint ourselves with essential oil to open up our senses with aromatherapy. And I often will pull oracle cards, which are different than tarot. Oracle cards are just always positive, uplifting, inspiring messages. So often people like to reflect upon the card they pulled at the very end and correlate it all together of how it had meaning for them. And
mm.
yeah, it's just a lot of fun to be a part of and to witness and to help promote relaxation and like I said, reduce pain, reduce stress. On the flip side is also uplifting our immunity. It's boosting our natural killer cells and the happy feeling endorphins. So even if you're not having any pain or not, and you think you're handling your stress of your life pretty well, and you are on top of things, it can still be beneficial in the sense of boosting your immunity. It can help you simply be more mindful, which from there can help us have better focus and better concentration when we move through our day. So just the simple act of lying there and receiving the sound bath and all those frequencies moving through you can bring you into the state of presence. And that's where we find peace.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm pretty new to sound healing. I mean, I know it exists. I know a lot of people, that have done it. I know you, who's a facilitator of it. I just know that for me as a musician and just someone that loves music in general, I can put on, some headphones in a nice lit room and just vibe. You know what I mean? And vibe. And when I've heard you play, I've actually heard you play, it was that same type of vibe for me,
Mhm.
because it resonates with me at a cellular level. That's how music affects me.
Yeah.
So when you're doing this and you're in this modality and you're treating someone, what is it for you? Where are you with it mentally? I know it's a giving, you're giving. It's a giving soul. But as you're performing this and you're working with your instruments and you're free flowing, what is it like for you? Both as just enjoying it and what you're seeing in the person that you're working with.
Yeah, I would say just circling back to feeling present, I get
Mhm.
that benefit too. It helps me just slow down and be in the moment, be with this person or this group with this intention and this focus and this frequencies. And it's a beautiful space to be in. I kind of just try to get out of my own way, get out of my lower self, ego self, and just be present. And it's unique and just flows perfectly every time. It's a great
Yeah,
practice. I've been doing it for 16 years here
there
in
you
town.
go.
So it's just like it's my life. It's what I do. It's who I am.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you were just talking about it before I asked you that question, and I was visualizing this, I was just visualizing, the bowls and the flutes and a gong and just in an amazing environment, I know you do retreats and, I can see Costa Rica or Bali or something like that on the beach and just working with this and hearing the birds, hearing the water, hearing the sound. I mean, you can just be drenched in sound.
Yes.
And the outcome of it has to be just insanely delicious, you know
And
what
I
I mean? Just
think it touches us deep because the first sound we ever hear, if you think about it, is your mother's heartbeat. When
yes.
you're in the womb and you're developing, the first sense you have is the vibration experience of the heartbeat of your mother. And
Mhm.
from there, even after you come through the birth canal and take your first breath and you're on earth side now, everything is still really about vibration when you're an infant. So that's our first connection with this life.
Right, right.
Mhm.
Where do you see it going? Where do you see the modality going? Because right now, I think in a wellness space and I'm just gonna say the word, a woo-woo space for a lot of people, that's how they see it.
Yeah.
Um, where do you see this modality going? Because everybody thinks about it's usually meditation and yoga and ayahuasca. They see
Yeah.
these three things. Myself, I see the use of all four.
Hmm.
Sound healing, ayahuasca, meditation, yoga. I see it in one session. I'm not talking about an hour session, but like a retreat, or one day you're focusing on this, and in the last day it just culminates into everything.
Definitely. That's
Where
definitely on our agenda too, is to take it further with retreats and have some of them involve plant medicine in that aspect too, to go even deeper for people that want that.
right.
But I hope that it becomes more mainstream, like yoga, like meditation. I hope often, again, being in Sedona, people are visiting and they're always like, "Can I bring you home in my suitcase? Because I can't find this where I live." And I get shocked. I forget because I've been here so long in this red
Right.
rock magical land where every yoga, breath work, meditation, sound healing, it's all natural. It's a common thing here. And I forget that it's not that way yet. So that would be my hope and vision, that it gets more and more mainstream, where
Yeah, I
people
can
understand the value and validity of this practice.
absolutely. I mean, where I'm at, I'm in a major city and, I'm sure it exists here. I just don't know where. I
Yeah.
know in the community around me, it's not here.
Yeah.
I know there's yoga. I mean, you can go to a gym,
Mhm.
for yoga, but to me, it's not the right yoga.
Yeah.
Meditation, you can kind of learn and do on your own, but sound healing, I just don't know of it around here. So I love that you want to see it expand
Yeah.
and grow into that. As
I also
far
wanna just mention too, like, I often say this with clients, and it just came to me, is like, when you just reflect back upon generations way back before we had modern amenities, our ancestors, elders, think of them sitting around like a campfire,
Mm,
and because they didn't have electricity and they didn't have TVs and all these things
right,
we consume ourselves with, and they were sitting around a campfire, right, as a community, and they're having, toning, chanting, singing, shaking their rattles, and they're blowing their didgeridoos and beating on their drums. It's like they had an inherent knowing way back then of the value of it. And we kind of got lost. We kind of forgot about the value of it. So I'm happy to be one of the practitioners on the planet now to hopefully bring that back.
absolutely. And Sedona is just an amazing place for. I mean, Sedona's an amazing place for pretty much anything. If you're trying
Mhm.
to, no matter what you're trying to find in your life, I think Sedona is the place for that. And I think with what you're doing, as far as the work that you're doing in this modality, is going to service a lot of people. Now, when you do the retreats, is it more open? Because I'm sure that one-on-one is more intense,
Mhm.
or can be in a retreat setting. Is it just as intense, or is it because it's more of a group thing? Is it more light? Is it more of a reflective
It's
type of
kind of
emotion?
unique and individual. It's up to each individual, it depends on where they're at when they come in.
Mm,
It depends on how they feel in resonance or not resonance with others in the group. It's just human nature. So no matter if there's just a one-on-one or several, I feel like it's up to your openness, your willingness to be real with yourself, and why
right.
did you show up? What are you hoping to get out of it? And it's really your journey, whether you're with a group, you're still having your own journey within it.
Mm.
Hmm.
What We'll get into this. What's your favorite instrument? I mean, that's like saying who's your favorite kid. But what is the one that resonates with you the most?
Definitely my Native and American flutes. They're just 6-holed wooden flutes. They're similar to a recorder. I could play them all day long. I feel like I actually, when I was voicing that I didn't really like guitar, it wasn't my thing. It was always making my shoulder ache and my fingers. I just wasn't my thing.
Right?
But I wanted to play something, and a friend handed me a flute and said, "Go out into the woods, cover the holes, blow into it, listen to the birds." And
Oh,
that's how I
wow.
learned to play it. So I don't know if I've done it in a past life or what, of why I picked up on it so quick, because the
Right,
moment I played a flute, I just fell in love, and I've been doing that mostly ever since. But I like the singing bowls to accompany me. And actually last year I got certified as an Akashic Records practitioner.
right.
And when you tap into the records, when I was in my training, a girlfriend that I got partnered up with started singing some light language to me,
Wow.
and it triggered it in me. And so now I often, at the end of my sessions too, when I play the steel tongue drum at the end to kind of bring you back out of that deep meditation, I will often
Yes.
start channeling light language. And lately, that's been the biggest feedback that I get from people that were like, "Wow, what was that at the end?" And for those who may not know, light language is soul language.
Right.
It's not English. It's not even Sanskrit. It's not like the mother tongue. It's not any specific language. It's our soul. It's our soul. It's not words. And it as well is unique every time that it comes out of me. I just kind of step aside and breathe and just start singing. And
Wow.
without fail, people always come up to me and say how it brought up a memory, or it just opened their heart, or things like this, that I can tell there's truth to that it's a soul language.
How crazy is that? That's just like a whole new modality on its own. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Just
yeah,
something that you could just drift into while you're in that space. You know what I mean? While you're in the space of sound, you could just actually just go right into that and then finish it up again with sound.
yeah.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, flutes, I kinda figured that was you. Flutes. I like hand pans. I'm gonna get one. I love
I'm
that.
on that path too. I have a
I
steel tongue drum, but I want a handpan drum as well. That'll be on.
Yeah. What is
Mhm.
it? G D Celtic 7, I think, was the sound that I heard. It just
Nice.
it just took me somewhere. The
Yeah.
first time that I heard it,
And
it
I
just
think to play it would be very meditative. I've borrowed a
yes.
friend's, I've played it a time or 2, but to really have my own
Mhm.
instrument, that's definitely on my list too. I think it's very meditative, very healing,
Yeah,
nice resonance.
I think about a year and a half ago when I was in Sedona, I was, meeting a friend there, and we went to a shop, um, and they had one inside of it, and I just was drawn to it and just started playing it, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I can play this thing." And I don't think it was because I was a musician, I just think because it resonated, and, for me, that's just it filled my soul immediately. I'm sure it does the same for you, you know?
That's what I love about a lot of these instruments that are used for sound healing.
Mhm.
Anyone, you don't have to be a musician with a background or feel like you know how to play anything. Drums, like I have a couple djembes right behind me, you just tap it.
Yeah, yeah,
Shakers, you just shake them.
yeah,
There's ways that the handpan drum, you can just tap it. There's ways that you can get comfortable with sound, even if you don't
right.
feel like you're a musician. Mhm.
It's like being a professional percussionist, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
So
yeah.
so outside of sound healing, I know I mean, we'll dive into it just a little bit. I know you do Akashic records. You wanna talk about that? Is that something, you're
Sure. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, because it's my newest, funnest thing. I've done yoga and meditation and sound healing for like about 16 years. Well, music my whole life, but I've been here in Sedona doing it as a profession for about 16 years. And just a year or so, I got into the Akashic Records. My girlfriend Mia, that used to live here, now lives in Costa Rica, started the
amazing.
Akashic Angel Academy. So
Uh-huh.
look her up if you resonate with that. And basically, the Akashic Records is the etheric book of life. It's where, going back to saying everything is energy, everything we've ever thought or done is in the etheric library, the book of life, the Akashic records. And so we learn in the academy how to have a protection and a pathway prayer to enter that field, which is really energy coming up from the eighth dimension where our masters, teachers, and loved ones support and guide us. So it's tapping into that very high spiritual place of beings that just want to help. And then at the end, after you sit in the records, there's a exiting prayer as well. So it's very ritual based with a prayer at the beginning and the end to create a safe container when you sit in the records, and you can use it simply to just be still. You can just literally meditate in the records for the stillness, just to pick up that Akashic light. Or you can have sessions with me or other practitioners with regards to feeling, getting answers for questions you have. You can actually change your past by sitting in the records in the present and making peace with it and healing wounds. And then that can change your possible timelines, your possible outcomes. The records, I will say, is not like a psychic reading there, and really nothing is set in stone because of our free will. So when you're in the records, it will give you options of different timelines and show you possibilities, but nothing's written in stone. We can always change where we're at in every now moment. We
Are
can.
you seeing people more people being drawn to that? Uh,
Mhm. I
really?
would say it's kind of on the wavelength of sound healing, where it's obviously not as common or well known, but
Right.
we're hoping, those of us into it are hoping to spread that. It creates kind of a heaven on earth with just a higher understanding that everything's vibration, whether you get there with sound healing or through the records or your own style of meditation. I just hope for everyone to rise above the primal, animalistic parts of us and tap into that higher spiritual sense, our divine selves that we are. And that I feel like in this 3D reality, they're actually trying to keep us from. Technically, they're trying to disconnect us and create discord. And we have all these beautiful ways, the yoga, meditation, sound healing, sitting in the records,
Yes.
to connect with our divine self. And that's
Yes.
where we feel good. That's where we find our power, our gifts, our inspiration.
Absolutely. I had an Akashic session with you,
Yes.
just being transparent. I did. And even for myself in life, just looking at different modalities, always on my search, through meditation, sound healing is something I want to get in more. I think more for alignment. The healing aspects I've always thought about something that I just kind of do on my own through my meditations and things like that. Alignment for sure. I want to work with you on that. I'm sure other people that are listening to this are going to want to too. Um, yeah, the Akashic Record sound healing, absolutely. I think it's something I need to implement more because I've worked with you on one of them.
Yeah.
But yeah. And Sedona, if you're going there, is ground zero for it's like the mothership.
It
It's
is.
like it's like the mothership for everything. Everything comes out from Sedona to Boulder,
And
and
she's
then
not very gentle. There's this phrase that she'll suck you in or spit you out. And
oh, that I
she
know.
sucked me in and embraced me. And I've been really open to growing constantly as a person, but I've witnessed people get spit out time.
Oh man, I've been going to Sedona for years, and I've seen it. And I actually wrote a blog about it about 2 years ago after a trip to Sedona where I hadn't been in a few years, and I went, and it was totally changed. And then I would write in my blog, and I've actually done shows about it where the element itself had changed. There was in this isn't putting anyone down. I'm not doing that, but there was an element that came in from Washington, Seattle, some California, and they basically destroyed it. They were leaving trash in hikes. They weren't respecting the ground. They were going to come there and try to turn it into something that it is not,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not there anymore. It's like Sedona itself spit all of them out. It's like, this is not what I am, and you're not going to try to bring that here. And I've always looked at Sedona as just a space for people to come for healing, to be who they truly are, to celebrate who they are, whether it's their religion, their spiritual beliefs, no matter what it is. Sedona's always been there to embrace that, something that's pure. It's just like sound healing is pure, Akashic Records is pure, plant medicine pure. I will say this, I'll just throw this in. Maybe it was Sedona, but every time I go to Sedona, I actually go to her grave. And it's interesting. I tell people that Sedona was a person, and it blows them away. And I actually tell them the story.
Mm-hmm.
And they had no clue that, there was a Sedona and Schnebly, and she's literally buried there. I don't tell people where she's buried just for privacy for the family.
Yeah.
Um, but I do go there every single time, and I always feel her energy, always. So with her spitting people out, I've seen it. And I
Yeah.
think Sedona itself is going through its own cleansing right now. I know COVID destroyed everything. Then a lot of the residents tried to profit on that through Airbnbs and everything else. This shows like going somewhere else.
Yeah.
but but with people such as yourself in doing what you're doing along with everyone else there, I think Sedona will find its heart again.
I hope so. Yeah.
Mhm.
Because I believe, way back the Indians, the natives didn't live in Sedona proper. They came into town to use the energy here, just like the full moon amplification.
Right.
There's like a electromagnetic amplification here. And the natives knew that and honored that. And so I just hope
Mhm.
that I feel like there's a lot of practitioners in town now with the right intention and people, those of
Yeah,
us try to cleanse. There's so many people coming in droves for the experience and for healing, but we also have to remember to clean that up and clear it and give love
absolutely.
and respect back to the earth and back to Sedona. Mhm.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add? I know we're going to give out your contact info here in a minute. What do you want to add if I haven't covered something about your modality and
I
what
would
it offers?
just say that if all this is new to you, get really curious about it and give it a chance. Give it a try as a modality, a sound healing in particular, with our topic today, because it's so beneficial. And I witness it time and time again. A lot of people that I do a session with, it is their first experience with it. And I feel very honored to always witness that. And people get blown away at how it's so simple, because your only job is to show up, be willing to prepare with me, like I said, with some ritual and settle in and get present. And then your job is to lie down and relax. I get you really comfortable and you just receive and be open to the possibilities, be open to seeing how it can shift your energy.
Absolutely. Net people can do this on Zoom as well, right? Zoom
Mhm.
or
Yes.
whatever.
If you can't make it to Sedona, I have clients that I do online with Zoom as well. So you can lie in the comfort of your own home and still move through the process.
And I know there's going to be a retreat. It's at the planning stages, but that will be fun.
Yes.
That's where and I'll even put that on the website too when everything's ready.
When we get closer.
Well, I thank you. I thank you so very, very much.
Thank you, Jack. It's great to be here. It was
Absolutely.
fun.
I'll have you on again for sure.
Yeah.
Tell everybody how they can get a hold of you.
Of course. So you can look me up at theenchantedlotus.com. If you happen to be in Sedona this week on Friday, the 18th, I'm at Shine Sanctuary in West Sedona. It's one of my public venues at a retreat healing center for sound healing, chakra balancing. So I'll be there on Friday, the 18th, as well as next Saturday, the 26th at Shine. So if you happen to be in town, I'd love to see you there. If not, look me up on my website and we can do it in person or online.
Nice. Very nice. Well, again, I thank you so very, very much for spending some time with me and to everyone that supports this show.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Mm.
Anyway, everybody, I hope you enjoyed that. Sound healing is an absolutely an amazing modality. Like I said, I'm trying to learn more about it because, again, my previous life was being a musician in the music business, and I'm always drawn to amazing frequencies that show heart, that show love, that resonate with me. And I'm sure for most of you, you feel that too, because if you're singing in the shower, if you're, if you have your volume in your car up all the way when you're driving, listening to music, why not take some of that sound and use it for an energetic purpose, some pure sound, the sound of flutes, bowls, that type of thing, gongs, and use it for healing. I think it's a beautiful modality. I think it's something that we do need to bring in, like Devani was saying, that we can get it just as household as meditation and yoga, because those are trend things. Meditation and yoga are absolutely amazing. They're amazing for everyone. But the thing is, they become trendy. The wellness, a lot of people in wellness, the what would you call it? Not an occupation, but the people that are making money off of it, they've hijacked it somewhat. And I think if something new, well, it's not new, but if something like sound healing and sound therapy can come in and enhance those two, we can bring it back. We can take it back from the people that are just trying to just market it as something else that it's not. But yeah, I agree with Devani that yes, sound healing and sound modality itself should be just as common as yoga and meditation, the top three. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this episode. I thank you so very, very much for giving me your time, for taking the time to listen to this. This exists for you and because of you. And again, thank you so very, very much. Reach out to Devani. I'll put a link here in Spotify as well as iTunes. You guys have an absolutely amazing day, evening, wherever you are in the world. Share some love. Give some love to yourself first and foremost. Make sure you do that. And I'll speak with you on another episode. Peace and aloha, everyone.